Hello friends, welcome to the show. Today we're doing the staining and the finishing touches in our waste bin or storage bin. You can use it for other purpose. And we're going to take you along for the journey and we'll show you reveal the final product. If this is your first time in the channel, we want to extend you a warm welcome. If you've been here before but you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If it is your birthday, happy birthday. Incidentally, it is my birthday tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed today's finishing build and we're going to see you at the end of the video again. So we remove the doors so we can start the painting process and also create the detail on the doors. So here is the carcass as it is now without any finishing on it, and we're going to go along and show you small clips of how, because the process is rather repetitive. So is that the color you want?
I don't know, I'll have to check the other one. It's a nice color.
So here we're just testing two different types of stain to decide which one we like the most.
Oh, that one I didn't stir.
Huh?
That one I forgot to stir. That's why it's so light. I think it's supposed to be actually much darker than that.
Huh?
There's definitely a nap to the wood.
Okay, we'll be right back. So as you can see, our staining process continues, and then we'll have to let it dry for a while before we continue, but that's why it makes sense to do this first, because this is the largest surface you have to stain. Correct? Alright friends, so what we're doing here is simulating individual boards, and what we're doing is we're using a circular saw with a very shallow cut, and we're using this board so all our boards are the same dimension. We just align it with the previous cut, and then using the circular saw we make the next one. Okay, you don't need to. So we're almost, my wife is almost done staining the carcass of the cabinet. And again, we don't show you every aspect of it because it is repetitive. And we are continuing, continue making the full slats, right? Is that what you call them?
Yep.
So we're going to go back and do that, and we're going to let her finish this process. All right, friends, so we finished this process, and we did it with our favorite method of hot glue that we're going to have to clear. But this is something that I thought about doing, but I have never done before. So one of the things that I discovered is that I get much better cuts when I go very slow with the blade, with the saw, and I get a little more tear out when I go quick. Now this is not really a big deal. We're going to do a little bit of sanding here, and boards are never perfect, so that looks fine, adds to the feel of the piece. And also I use the rough cut blade, and I think a fine cut blade will do this a little better. The two important things when you do that, you notice we put the doors so they're flush with each other, so when they're next to each other, you will see a continuous line, which probably would be much harder to do if we were to actually put slats here, right? Because they have small differences in width, where this is actually a very consistent width. Yes?
Yep.
All right, so this process is almost done. We're going to put the what do you call them? The handles, the pulls, and we are going to do at least one level of stain on this, and we will come back. So a quick sanding makes sure that any imperfections in the wood due to the cuts and also any remnants of our glue is gone away. And as you can see, the two doors match really well as far as the direction of the slats go. And this is a way to take a solid piece of wood and make it have the appearance right, of slatted wood. Now this imperfection, this little blowout, again is unavoidable on when you use plywood. Sometimes you have a little blowout piece, but in our case it will be covered by trim, so it will not be visible. These other small imperfections are actually adding more to the natural look. If you were to buy slats as we have done in the past, and you have seen they are not absolutely perfect. So that is okay, we don't have a problem with that. So our next step will be to add the door handle to this door, and no, probably stain it first, right? Add the door handle, wait for the stain to dry, add the trim, and we will be done. Like we did with the dark stain, we're doing a test on the light grain to make sure that it is the grain that we like. Is that the one you want?
I think it'll work. I think it's enough contrast to the dark.
Yes.
I was thinking it would be a little bit lighter, but it's okay. I think it's...
Yeah, it will show lighter when it is. Actually in the camera it shows quite light. Here. You want to see?
Hold on a second. I'm showing Tammy.
Is that the same one we used?
Well, it's the Canyon Brown. So I don't know. Did you use something else?
No, that's what we used.
It's just a different wood.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, and you see it by itself, not without contrast. You want to put it
Don't
on.
back up into that. So,
Yeah, you see there's plenty of
When
contrast
it
there.
dries, I think it...
And you can see the finished carcass, and there you will see that will be the front of the doors, and that will provide the actual contrast. And the trim will be the same color as this. Is that the idea? Okay. So here we are finally start seeing the end of the road on this 3-episode project. So stick with us until we finish it. Yeah. Again, our preferred technique for stain is using a cloth because no matter how hard and what type of brass we get, it is almost unavoidable to not have brass marks. Again, my love, you know this is totally invisible, right?
What's invisible?
What you're staining.
Yes, but you asked me to do the bottom first, so I'm doing it. Doesn't mean just because something doesn't show that you shouldn't do a good job. No. There.
You want me to put something in between them so they won't touch while they're wet?
Okay, ready to do the tops?
Yes. The stain is actually looking very good, and our artificial, what we're going to call those?
Grooves. Well, they're
They are grooves, they're not artificial grooves, they're real
flat
grooves.
lines.
But our artificial slat lines are coming out really nice. So we need to now let things dry.
Well,
And-
I think we still have to put the.
We have to put the trim.
No, we have to put the stain in the groove lines
Oh, absolutely, yes.
and show them you're going to use a little brush.
I will when we're doing it.
Okay.
That is the plan.
Are you? I'll be back.
I think it looks good. What do you think?
looks like that.
Now it looks a little darker, but the rest of the piece has dried, and I'm sure that when it dries it will look the same.
We'll take over the whole thing with
Well, we can move it back if you need to.
Alright, and now we're staining the inside of the door. Potentially you can even make a frame from a wire on the top and put the truss back there and not have a truss can at all. There are a lot of variations to what you can do with this, or even build the whole thing to be a truss bin, right? You will only have to build the top in a curve so it can open. And it is looking really good. So one of the last steps we have to do now is to actually put the trim around the doors. And this is what we're working now. We're going to stain it and we're going to show you when we're back. Right now I'm just making marks to know where to cut the piece. You might need to turn the light on if you want to be that close. Now this needs to go. So now we're cutting all the trim to dry fit it. Then we're going to stain it and attach it. You can hold it.
Okay.
So this is our dry fit. And now we are going to go and stain it and attach it. But it looks pretty good right now. Okay? Well, we're going to cut the other, which is exactly the same, so we don't have to record that, but after we finish, we're going to cut the other ones, the ones for the second door, and then we attach them after we stain them. So in order to make sure that our pulls are in the same spot on both drawers, I made a small jig, and we simply made small marks to indicate how far down and how far in the holes are. We only need one hole, the first hole, because the second hole is here on the jig. Now we only have 2 doors and that was not necessary, but if you have to make a lot of holes that you want your hardware to be in the same spot, a little jig like that is invaluable. Alright, so using the jig we already made the first hole, and now we're going to use the jig again and make the second hole. And all we need to observe now is that we are parallel to this. Okay? So now we're going to start staining the frame pieces around the door. And we have taken care to know which is the right and which one is the left side. You want to put all of them, or just do that and then that? Okay. Okay. Again, we're not going to show you the whole process. We're using the same process. We prefer using a cloth versus a brush because it gives a smoother finish without brush marks. And it is not important to do the back, but you should do the sides.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I was just saying. Alright folks, we'll finish all that and we'll be back with you. And here are all our trim pieces stained and waiting to dry. And as soon as they dry, we are going to attach them to the doors and show you the final project, revealing the 3-week-long series here. Anything you would like to say?
Happy building.
Which one will we do first?
This one you said.
Alright. I'm going to put some glue here. Okay. So we're using hot glue because we don't want to see any marks on the finished, what do you call it?
Surface.
Yeah, that one. It is done. It's very fast.
Okay,
really.
don't direct. I'm making sure it's where I want it to be. Okay? I think you need to put out a little bit more than that. Don't push down on that end, please.
But I needed the curve to be closed and it's not closed. put the last piece down so we can arrange this. Please. Okay, good. That's a good fit. Alright, last piece.
I'm getting glue everywhere.
Yeah, but it's dry, so it's just stringy things there, not attached to anything. Okay, let's take this off and now we're going to do the other one the exact way. But you get the idea of how the door looks. You want to go in the back? Show the opening. Oh, we closed the back. Forgot. I thought we left it open. Okay. Hi, folks. Thank you for sticking around. This is our final project, and we are quite pleased with the way it came out. As you can see, this fundamental way of building, you can build cabinets, you can build all kinds of different projects. It doesn't have to be a trash collection bin or recycling bin, but in our case, that's what we built it for. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button. If you didn't, the other button works as well. Share, like, and subscribe to help us continue growing the channel, and let us know what you would like to see us build next. From the Garage Woodworker, Mrs. Woodworker, and Elpida, we hope you have a great week, and we're going to see you Wednesday.